I thought it was only fitting that we start up in the same position we started with on the roof at the beginning of this build series. I announced that there'd be something special right over here, maybe 4 months ago, and if you've been following along, we're done. Winter is literally right there. This is the last time I'm probably going to be able to shoot a video with no snow on the ground, and I thought it was apropos to take a quick look before the snow falls and just look how far we've come. From up here, I can say that quite literally the only things in this entire yard that have stayed the same since the beginning of the spring is that rock, which is actually petrified wood, and 2 trees. Everything else has changed. You get the picture, a lot has changed. Last time I also forgot to make a hole update. It's filled. Actually, the city contractors did me a huge favor, and while they were asphalting this particular area, they went ahead and retarred the edges of the new driveway and poured me a fresh strip of asphalt along the whole way. Good guys. This is me moved in. I've got an entire shed's worth of stuff and all my other garage and car stuff jammed up in the attic. This area has been amazing. I've got it pretty tightly organized, and I could probably get 2 or 3 times more stuff up there, but that has allowed me to basically set up shop on 2 folding tables. This is exactly what it looks like when you don't really anticipate the budget required to do a full interior finishing. Talking about cabinets and storage for tools and counter spaces and stuff like that. But this will suffice for at least a year. This is my 80-20 rule in effect, and when you think about it, what do you really need? Compressed air, impact, a couple of screwdrivers, torque wrench, socket set. Of course, being a Audi or Volkswagen owner, you need your triple squares and torques. Then, pliers, crescent wrench, picks, a couple of extensions. You're good to go. So to wrap up this final episode in the whole build series, I thought I might just share some of my more recent 2020 hindsight thoughts on how this build went, and even some of the little things that I've noticed already that if I could do it all again theoretically, what I might change. So don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful for what we were able to build here. This was by no means a cheap project, and of course budget is a very real thing for everyone. But the first thing on my list that I would change, and is the cheapest item, are sockets. The thing to keep in mind when you're building a garage is that, yeah, this is kind of custom, but you're going to start with an electrical template that your builder is probably going to present to you. In our case, I believe the template starts with 2 plugs on the forward wall that is close to the front end of the vehicles, and then 1 on each side wall. So what I did is doubled it, especially considering the plugs I have on the wall here. There's a 4-pack by the panel, but I made some trades that I'm already a little bit regretting. So I don't have any on that side. I traded them in for that 4-pack, and then I did add a couple here, 1 up there, and of course the ones on the side. But I've been walking around, trying to plug in a trickle charger on the Corolla, or just future thinking like, what if I wanted to actually hang some sort of device on the ceiling? Fan, maybe run some air up here, something. I don't have anywhere out of the way to plug things into. And really, for the price of $50 a set of sockets, just put one every 2 or 3 feet. It's just really not a big deal. It's the cheapest thing that you're going to be able to do, and you can't do it later. Moving up the scale of expense, ceiling height. Try to push your ceiling as high as possible, even if it means that you have to take out special permits to get it a little bit higher. I'm saying this now not necessarily because I'm worried about getting a lift in here, but the impact on the interior space, the feeling that it gives to give a little bit of extra height is great. And if you're going to do an enclosed attic like this, I've already been walking around packing a bunch of stuff in there. Yeah, I'm ducking. It's not a huge issue, but having a little bit of extra headroom and the ability to put really big items up in your attic, that's where you're going to win in the long run. What's kind of novel but really useful about having a higher ceiling, and if you have gables either on the inside like this or access through the other side, is that you could do just that. Kind of like how a barn has sliding doors at the top of the barn and a big winch, you could actually get a much larger access space to go in through a gable and load in big items. If you challenge the necessity of that idea, let me pose the question. If you were to walk up a ladder, that's about 70 degrees, and you only have a maximum width for yourself and whatever you're carrying of about 2 feet between a couple of joists, and you're lifting something about 50 pounds and you still need to grab onto something so you don't fall over, do you think you could do it? Because I can tell you from firsthand experience, it can be pretty tricky. Moving well up the scales of expense for Hindsight now is width, or depth, depending on what your design is. But we were warned about this early. Jason, our contractor, said, if you think you need it wider, push it wider. And in fact, I did. This is a 32-foot pad instead of the 30 we originally had planned, but it's the little things that you want a little extra room for. The deck is rigged right now. This is sort of a dramatic reenactment of what a garage should be. The curl is way against the wall, and we've got the Avant right in the middle. But when it comes down to opening your door, there's about a 2-foot swing there. It's tight. It really is, especially if you have a single double set up and the single door is going to take up just so much room and it's only going to leave you with so many feet on each side of the double doors. You really could use a little extra room on the side here. If this was a bit wider here and we pushed this out into the yard, that would have been fantastic. Last, the number one mistake we made and why there's a huge gap between our cars here and why the curl is shoved against the wall is that we massively miscalculated how much room that we needed on a driveway. If you think I'm being dramatic, I'll tell you, this nice 1.5 foot long scrape wasn't here earlier in the summer. You know where that came from? It came from that metal box right there. What we failed to identify was that the turning radius with this depth of driveway does not exist to get a vehicle into the far side here, either almost on its own without running over the side of the driveway, or if there's a car in this position, you cannot do it at all. The only way to get in here is if you approach from the other side of the alley, which we never do, or if you park in backwards and you're able to sort of just drive out. But we have not enough room at all over by this fence to get a car in, and that's why the Avant is parked in the middle of the garage. If I could do it all again, even with the exact same footprint size of the garage, I would just push the whole thing 2 or 3 feet that way. What's the difference losing a little bit of deck and some patio out there if you can't get your car into the garage? That's it. I've officially run out of things to talk about with the build series. I hope that you've enjoyed the series over the summer, watching it get built, and it was a little bit interesting or entertaining for you. Finally, let's get back to work on the B7 and B8. Thanks again. See you next time.